That is not the case in the modern world. That is not the case in UK. If you go and ask, let's say whether you want to be early child education kind of a faculty member, not a faculty member, like say kind of an early child educator or a primary school teacher, you will see there is a significant kind of interest within the society. Why? Because they feel it. When this part of the world, when we are thinking about like, yes, we have to change the society, in the West, and to some extent, I will say Middle East as well. I was in Qatar 2 months ago in November. I was amazed by the kind of development happened in higher education. I mean, not in higher education, well, school and primary and secondary education. So the way they have changed the narrative is somehow seeded within the society, within a 10 years old or 7 years old kind of a kid, and the way the upbringing working is significantly important when we are talking about accountability in higher education. So that kind of education, primary and secondary education, making our life so easy when we are talking about accountability in an AI era and talking about in higher education. Thank you.
Uh, Now, vice chancellors, we will sometimes receive letters from top authorities like visual education solutions that we have done that your curriculum to be aligned with the sustainability goals. Sometimes some decoration bodies, their first prize to get decorations, of course, and there are certain forms that we have to fill and we have to do the formalities. So you have both you have both experience in terms of government and also as an educationist and as the top of the so many universities talk about sustainability, but a few practices. So, what do you think? What kind of concrete steps the universities should take to different leadership, truly serve the society and the economy? Rose will endorse as the chairman, but what goes into that content and how you deliver that content and how that content is applied is very much a function of your own ability. So we take this refuge. Oh, actually, हम ये कह दिया हमको कर नहीं सकते. That's not true. You have to take the initiative yourself. You're not really my argument that we have been compelled to do this, we have been forced to do this, we have no option of carrying it out. So my experience for 8 years at IBA, we were able to deliver a lot of material, which at the headlines, which education bodies and the AEC would have more profitability, but we would do things this expensive learning, for example. We have the $20 according to the requirements of the DBA. We said yes, we will follow $10, but we designed it for $10. So I personally think that it should be clear. By the way, I have written a lot on the SDGs. To me, the difference in the Millennium Development Goals, which are really focused on poverty reduction, and by 2015, the poverty reduction goals were achieved because it was highly focused on poverty, which is a much times nicer. And of course, SDG is so widespread and so diffuse, and there are so many conflicts and trade-offs between various goals that I personally do not think that this is the right instrument because it is a compromise between the states, between the NGOs, between the UN organizations. Just random question, because I know that along with the gender disparity. So my instruments for intervention, both public policy as well as preparing my next generation, would focus on these goals. I'm not going to go for a large agenda. So you have to be selective. You have to be relevant to what the problems in your own area is concerned. So as you know, I've done so much. It is the devolution to the local governments and the local authorities and the local communities which produces the best results. They know their problems best. They know how to solve those problems. They mobilize all the resources for that, and they get the outcome. That is how. Sitting in Karachi, sitting in Islamabad, you're sitting in Lahore, you design all the policies without knowing what the impact is going to be, whether it will be. I tell you my own example. As an arrogant young civil service officer, I used to chair the Provincial Development Working Party. And I said 500 primary schools in over of them. Not knowing whether there's a demand for the schools there, whether there will be teachers available for that, whether the communities really want schools or they want drinking water. When the local governments came in, they were debating that my village has a school for girls, but there are not many girls attending that. We have teachers, we have buildings. And the other counselor was saying, I want a school for my girls because they can't afford to go distances. So the local community came to the conclusion that we should have a road between village A and village B, so the girls can go to this village to have the school attendance will increase. Now, compared to what I decided, and compared to what the local government decided, can you compare that? This is what universities are designed according to the local communities and local population, rather than have your own, that because I have a PhD in economics, I know what is best for me. Get out of this that we are here, both in the universities. We think just because we have such high degrees, we know all the problems. It has to be bottom of approach rather than second. So, as per your mind, I think so. Micro data serving decision making is the very much. Yeah. So, yes, that. So, coming to the next Dr. Lokesh, next question. We use a lot of paperwork, like we go to the accreditation. This is, I'm asking your perspective and accreditation perspective, the instrument of NDAC. So British bodies go and see the paperwork, right? So the paperwork is done, universities get accreditation, though some of the forms of social responsibility of societal impact, environmental impact is here. What do you think that what should be here? It's just a paperwork, more than paperwork.
Thank you, Dr. Nath. Again, I'll try to be as brief as possible. Accreditation agents, am I audible?
No, I said please.
Okay. All around the globe, one of the greatest challenges which all accreditation bodies have faced is the tendency of accreditation has become just a compliance exercise. It has been there for decades, maybe a century. That people feel that it is whenever there's an accreditation process, documents will be prepared, files will be compiled, and once the visit is over, life returns to business as usual. This has been a challenge with accreditation bodies all around the world. They have put an effort to make different changes over the period of time so that it should still be a workable solution. You cannot deny the importance of accreditation exercise. At least people come to know exactly what they're doing, how they're doing, what they need to do. A lot of more standards have come up, and in recent years, the changes which has come up are having more sustainability or societal impact being part of the education, because over a period of time it has been realized that it's very important that whatever people learn, whatever they do, or whatever the schools while working, what kind of difference they are making to the life of the people around them, to the community, to the society, and for the economy of the country. So yes, there have been changes and improvements, but it is a challenge because quality does not reside in documents. Are, they reside in the culture of an organization. If you just go through the motions and just do an exercise that we have all the documents ready and so it means that we are working, you talk about so many things in terms of what is our mission statement and what are our strategic priorities and what are our values. But are those values being practiced is the real question, which is generally a difficult thing to really come out of the document. But the process which are being, which are there, accreditation bodies try to generate that kind of an environment in which people are conscious of that. And I would say that it over a period of time, from the accreditation body of ours and Pakistan also, I think we have come a long way because